And what we're hearing from Iran is that Ayatollah Khamenei is not in Tehran this morning there. What kind of response could we see from the Iranian government?
Well, look, unlike last year, the Iranians have been anticipating this strike. So there is no element of surprise. And they were preparing for a very harsh response. The calculus there is that, last year they responded against Israel in a significant way and caused a lot of damage on Israeli territory. But in response to the United States, they were much more cautious. They struck a U.S. base in Qatar, but there were no American fatalities. And the conclusion in Tehran was that this Iranian restraint was interpreted by the Americans as weakness and is only going to invite more aggression. That is why they were going to respond in a harsh way, trying to spill American blood and inflict even more harm on Israel in order to restore a degree of deterrence. So I do think that we should anticipate a very harsh Iranian response, which could turn this conflict into a regional conflagration with disastrous implications for all.
We saw Iran carry out military exercises in the Strait of Hormuz during the midst of those discussions with the United States. As you mentioned, there was that strike it carried out on a military airbase, U.S. military airbase in Qatar. Just talk to us about what Iran could potentially do in retaliation.
So since Israel is the aggressor here and has started this war, I think we can anticipate hundreds of missiles, Iranian ballistic missiles, supersonic missiles, targeting Israel in the next few minutes or hours. That's step number one. If the U.S. has indeed been involved by firing cruise missiles, then I think it is very likely that the Iranians would target U.S. naval assets in the region. It is also possible that Iran would target U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. And if this crisis escalates further and Israel and the U.S. target Iranian infrastructure, energy infrastructure or other infrastructure, then you can expect that the Iranians would target gas fields or energy infrastructure in the region, U.S. bases in the Gulf, and also put pressure on oil exports and energy exports out of the Persian Gulf. And then finally, if it becomes an existential battle for the Islamic Republic, one can anticipate that the remnants of Iranian network of proxies in the region would also join in. So you would have Hezbollah started firing missiles towards Israel. You would have the Houthis in Yemen putting pressure on free flow of commerce out of the Red Sea and the Bab al-Mandab. And finally, you might even have the Iraqi militias who so far have stood aside, jump into this conflict, again, for their own, because everybody sees it as an existential battle for their own sake.
Ali, I just want to interrupt you just for a second to bring this breaking news coming into us from the Reuters news agency. A U.S. official confirming to them that U.S. strikes on Iran are now underway. So we've been following these Israeli strikes on Iran, but now confirmation from the U.S.